My stepmom spent years wishing my mom dead. Then she died and everyone expected me to sob, but I felt nothing and now my dad wants me gone. My parents divorced when I, 16 male, was 3. They were on okay terms at first, but it changed when I was 6 and my dad started dating his wife. There were issues between her and mom, and I heard my dad's wife 11 different times that she hoped my mom would drop dead so her and dad's family could all be together and they wouldn't have to share me. That's not me guessing or twisting words. I'm talking exact phrases I remember and wish I didn't. I could still hear her voice carrying from the kitchen, the hall, a car ride when she forgot I was buckled in the back with my DS on mute. She'd say it in different versions. Wish she'd just drop dead. If she disappeared, life would be easier. God, I hope she chokes on her own lies, but the meaning sat the same. She wanted my mom gone. I was 6, 7, 8, sitting there with those words landing like wet socks you can't peel off. Once you hear an adult say they want your mom dead, it rewires something in your head. You don't step around the person who said it the same way again. You don't try to please them because you learn quick you aren't the thing they want. The thing they want is your mom buried. My dad would tell me I misheard or that I caught a sentence out of context. He loves that phrase. Out of context. I'm a kid, but I'm not an idiot. If the context makes "I hope she drops dead" something nice, then English is broken and we need to throw it out. Anyway, that set the stage. My dad married her, his wife. Never my mom, not even in quotes, and suddenly there was this new gravity in his house. All the stuff that used to feel normal got weird. The couch I used to jump on at 4, because dad would pretend it was a ship? No, she said, that's furniture, not a trampoline. The photos that used to hang of me and dad fishing on the pier, replaced with family photos where I'm pressed up against her like I'm another accessory. And there's her daughter. She's a year younger, same grade difference as kids a year apart always are. Close enough to compete, far enough to resent it. She was protective of her mom like a guard dog. I get it because I'm protective of mine. She heard me push back on her mom, and she came out swinging every time, no matter what else was happening. We were never friends. We were a constant storm system that just camped over the same house half the week. My parents had 50-50 custody. We were textbook even. Dad always made sure to mention that, like he wanted a gold star for doing what the court said. People think 50-50 means the kid splits love nice and clean. That's not how it works. What it means is you build 2 homes with different rules and different gravity. At Mom's, the rules were simple. Respect, tell the truth, don't be a jerk. At Dad's, the rules were everything's fine until it makes her unhappy, and then it's war until you pretend it didn't happen. I learned to keep a bag half-packed because I never knew when I'd decide the air in Dad's house felt too heavy to breathe. I didn't keep a little tally sheet of the times she wished my mom dead, but the number 11 stuck because at some point I started counting without trying. After the 11th, I remember thinking, okay, that's enough. We're not pretending this is an accident or her having a bad day. That's a pattern. That's a choice. She wasn't a cartoon villain either. She made pancakes and asked about my homework and did that fake empathic lean-in thing when she wanted to know something like, how's your mom doing? 2 beats of fake concern. Is she managing okay? Managing what? Me? Life? Not being dead? Sometimes I'd answer with, yeah, she's alive. I'd do it deadpan because I figured if we were going to say the quiet part out loud, let's just get weird with it. She'd go tight around the eyes like I'd poked her. Then later I get the talk from Dad. Tone, buddy, you can't talk to her like that. Which was rich because she could talk about my mom however she wanted and my tone was the problem. Her daughter hated me for that. Hated that I didn't sit and take it. She'd corner me in the hallway and get up in my face about respect. Once she slapped my phone out of my hand because I said she's not my mom when her mom introduced me at dinner to one of her friends as our boy. My phone skittered under the dishwasher and I had to fish it out with a hanger. And then I got another dad talk about being the bigger person, like not reacting to that meant I was spiritually superior or something. The next day at school, she stood next to me at the bus line and breathed in my ear. You think you're better than us? Wait till you grow up and see how much your mom messed you up. I said, the only person that messes me up is the one wishing my mom dead in surround sound. And we almost went to fists right there, but a teacher stepped in. A thing about mixing families nobody tells kids. You'll have to sit and clap for people you don't like and pretend it's love. She played soccer, and I sat in the bleachers 2 Saturdays a month like it was a job. Dad would put his arm around her mom and look like he was living this whole Hallmark life. And I clapped too, because what else was I supposed to do? Then when my choir concert happened and it was Mom's week, I wanted Dad to come and bring the little ones. Oh yeah, there are little ones, 2 half-siblings, tiny tornadoes with sticky hands who called me Bubba and climbed me like a tree. And Dad said yes, but she wasn't comfortable going to events at my mom's school. It was the same school we all went to, but she'd say your mom's school like it was a different country with visas. So they didn't come. He had a work thing. That was the beginning of the math problem I solved in my head. When it's hers, we show up. When it's mine, there are reasons. I try to be decent to the littles because they didn't do anything wrong and they loved me in that hand-grabby, wild way toddlers do. And you can't be mad at a toddler for loving you. But their mom would use them like proof. See? We're a family. Us, not me and Mom and Dad. Just them. The number of times she took a photo of me holding my half-brother and posted it with Big Bro loves his sibs and tagged me without asking, yeah. Meanwhile, she'd accidentally drop my mom's messages from the group chat for schedule changes, then act confused when Mom showed up at the wrong time to pick me up. Oh, didn't you see the update? Smile. Shrug. We're all learning. Another thing that stuck, the time I got sick at Dad's, some stomach bug that glued me to the toilet, and I asked if Mom could come by for a bit because when I'm sick I want my mom, I don't care if I'm 16 or 6. She laughed. Actually laughed. Sweetie, she said from the doorway. That's not appropriate. We've got it. We're family. I said, she's my mom, and her mouth twitched. That afternoon, she talked to Dad in low voices, and the next morning he told me we should draw boundaries so people can move on. Move on from what? Not being dead. I was mad and dehydrated, and I said something about how she probably has a Pinterest board called When She Finally Drops Dead, and Dad's face went stone. He said, don't do that. I said, don't do what? Repeat what she says, but with better grammar. It never got better. It never went fully nuclear either. It just stayed at a steady simmer. Sometimes it cooled off, and I could pretend peace. Sometimes it boiled. When I say I never liked her, people hear teen boy hates stepmom and plug it into their trope brain. Fine. Here's the thing, though. I can name concrete times she sabotaged Mom on purpose and made me a pawn because it made her feel in control. You can call that what you want. I called it what it was. Then a few weeks ago, she died. I'm not putting cause in here because it's not mine to spread and because it doesn't change any of this. It happened late at night. Dad called Mom at 1 a.m., voice cracked in half. I woke up to Mom knocking on my door. Lights were off except for that one stupid hallway night light we never unplugged because it's shaped like a moon and my little self loved it. She came in and sat on the edge of my bed and put a hand on my shoulder. I pulled the sheet up because I sleep like a burrito. It's your dad, she said. Something happened. He wants you to come in the morning. You okay? I asked her because the last time I heard her that soft was when my grandpa died. She nodded like she was lying to keep me from standing in the doorway all night. I am okay. He needs you. We didn't say her name. We didn't have to. It sat in the room like a third person. I went in next day. It was technically Mom's week, but nobody cared about schedule anymore. The house was full of crying. He was a mess, yeah? The littles were a mess in that way kids are when they know something is wrong, but can't hold it still. They ran and crashed and screamed, and then suddenly went quiet and then screamed again. Her daughter, the one a year younger than me, had a face like she'd been hit by a bus. She saw me and stiffened like I was the bus. It got weird fast because Dad was trying to be a host at his own private disaster. He kept hugging me, patting my back, saying, "You don't need to be strong right now. It's okay to cry," saying it while already crying on me. He told me, "You don't have to hold it in. She loved you." His hand shook. He was a different person. Grief removes the skin off people. You see what's underneath. I didn't cry. I didn't even feel like crying. I felt blank with pockets of anger and relief that I'm not proud of, but I'm not going to pretend it wasn't there. It's like someone finally shut off a low siren that had been drilling into my ear for a decade. Quiet feels weird after noise. That's what it was. I thought be useful. That's a thing you can do when you don't know how to feel. So I made breakfast for the littles because no one else did. I cut toast into triangles and poured cereal and found the cups with lids because the 3-year-old bathes in milk if given the chance. I cleaned the kitchen because grief makes dishes multiply. I moved laundry from washer to dryer. No applause, just motion. Dad floated in and out of rooms hugging people and then stopping like he forgot where he was going. I kept getting told I didn't need to be strong, even when I was just washing a pan. At some point, his wife's daughter cornered me by the stairs. Her eyes were puffy and red and furious. "You don't even look sad," she said. "No hello. No anything. You don't even look like you lost your second mom." She wasn't my second mom, I said, because my mouth sometimes speaks before my brain checks the temperature. Her face cracked. "How much did you hate my mother? How much?" It came out like a hiss. "She did everything for you, and you can't even look sad?" "I'm not going to lie," I said. "Not even for this." She stared at me like I was a stranger who had taken my own face. Then she ran upstairs and slammed her door so hard a picture fell in the hallway. I picked it up. It was one of the staged family photos, all of us in matching flannel for some winter card. I put it side down on the table and kept walking. Dad pulled me aside later. "You can grieve someone you didn't always get along with," he said softly like he was telling me a secret. "It still counts. She was part of our family." I nodded because it didn't matter what I said. We did that dance all day. He kept checking on me, like he needed me to cry as proof he hadn't married a person who made a child feel unsafe. People build stories to survive. I get it. Mine doesn't match his. A few days later, he asked if I wanted to do something at the funeral. Read, speak, carry something. I said no. It came out too fast. If I had thought about it for longer, I might have softened it, but fast was honest. He winced. His stepdaughter overheard from the kitchen and spun around. "We're all doing something," she snapped. "We're her kids." "I'm not her kid," I said. And she wasn't my mom. She made a sound I've never heard a human make. It wasn't a cry. It was a small bomb. She stormed out, and my half-brother, who'd been doing a puzzle at the table, flinched and started to cry too, and I picked him up because at least I know how to hold a crying toddler. Dad rubbed his forehead. He told me he understood, but maybe I could, consider a reading. "It would mean a lot," he said. I didn't say to who. We did the funeral. I stood in the back with the littles because standing with a squirming kid is a good excuse to not meet anyone's eyes. People came up and hugged me like I'd lost a limb. "You were so lucky to have her," they said, and I did the nod and the thank you because this is how you move through a day that isn't for you. I watched the slideshow and felt nothing except a prickle at the base of my neck when a picture of me popped up. There I was at 12 holding a cake she baked. In the photo, I'm smiling. I remember that day. I remember how it looked like she was letting me pick the frosting, and then later I heard her tell Dad she only did chocolate because she was trying to retrain my taste since my mom was too indulgent. The slideshow said family. The story in my head said prop. 2 days after, it all blew up. Her daughter went off on Dad in the living room. It started small. Dishes, laundry, who's calling the bank, who's making sure the littles are ready for school. Then it turned. "If he's staying," she said, pointing at me like I was mold she found behind the washing machine. "I'm not. I can't be here with him." Her voice shook. I can see it on his face. "He's glad she's gone." She looked at me. "You're glad. You won't say it because you want to look like a good kid, but you're fucking glad." I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I didn't say anything because I could feel my mouth loading up a missile, and if I fired it, we'd never put the house back together. My heart thumped hard. I put my hands in my pockets because I didn't trust them to stay at my sides. She kept going. "All they ever wanted was for you to be our son, and you never wanted it. You wanted your mom. You wanted her to win. We tried, and you acted like we were kidnappers dragging you from your real life. Dad, try to calm her like you do with a dog that's about to bite. Hands out, voice low." She jerked her shoulder away. "No," she said. "I'm done. I'm done looking at his face and feeling like I want to beat the shit out of him every second we're in the same room." The littles were in the yard with a neighbor by then. Thank God. So they didn't hear this part. I looked at Dad. I'm going back to Mom's, I said. My voice sounded calm. Inside, I felt like a glass that's been cracked down the middle but hasn't spilled yet. If we stay under the same roof right now, it's going to get physical, and you know it. I don't want to go there. He took me aside. He always takes me aside when he wants me to put on a different face. Listen, he said, I need you to show your grief a little. It would help her. She's hurting. If you could just... He tapped his own chest like he was trying to shake tears out of me. Let out. I don't feel it, I said, and it was like I slapped him. He looked angry then. I'd never seen that exact version on him. More shame than rage, like I'd embarrassed him. Then fake it, he hissed. He actually said that. Fake it at least. Your lack of grief is distracting. It's making it hard for her to be here. She's your sister. No, I said, and it came out flat. She's not. I don't know if that was cruelty or math. I think it was math. We were never like that. And I'm not faking shit for her. He closed his eyes. Watch your language. I laughed, one short bark. That's the line. Language. He asked me to stay. I said no. He said I was running. I said I was preventing something worse. We went in circles like that until he ran out of words, and I picked up my bag. On the way out, my half-brother wrapped himself around my leg and said, Stay, Bubba. I crouched and hugged him and told him I'd come back when things were calmer. Words that mean nothing to a kid. He cried harder. I left anyway because sometimes the choice is leave or burn. At Mom's, the air felt normal. She made pasta because that's what she does when she doesn't know what else to do. We ate at the counter. I told her the bare minimum because I know she and Dad used to text about schedule, and now everything is fragile and I'm not dropping a rock into that. She didn't press. She listened the way real listening looks. Eyes on me. Mouth shut. Eyebrows that move. When I told her he asked me to fake grief, she did that slow blink. He's not himself, she said finally. But that doesn't mean you have to be someone else. The next week was weird. Dad texted a lot. At first it was, can you come by tomorrow? Then it turned into, the kids miss you. Then, it would help if you showed up for dinner. Then just, we're eating at 6. When I didn't come, he switched to quieter messages. Thinking of you. Hope school went okay. Did you finish your history project? He sent a photo of the littles finger painting, their hands smeared, grins like murder clowns. They keep asking for Bubba, he wrote. I stared at that one, so long my phone locked itself. Her daughter, meanwhile, kept feeding him ultimatums. If he comes, I'm gone. She told him he was hurting her by chasing me. She said, how can you run after the one who didn't love her instead of the ones who did? That one dug into him because guilt is the language of his bloodline. He started trying to have it both ways, inviting me over when she wasn't around, wiping my visits off the calendar like smudges. He'd sneak me in for an hour after school when the littles were at a neighbor's and she was out picking up some paperwork. He'd hug me hard and then stare at the door like he was keeping a lookout. Love shouldn't feel like a drug deal behind a dumpster, but here we were. On one of those sneaks, the house looked smaller. Grief does that too. It shrinks rooms. There were flowers on every flat surface and that sweet rot smell they make when people leave them after the petals start to die. Her corner of the living room, the one with the chair she called my spot, sat empty and heavy, like a chair was a person. The littles kept bringing me toys and dropping them in my lap, and then running away to get new toys, like they were trying to build a mountain out of plastic that would keep me from leaving. Dad made coffee and forgot to put a filter in, so the pot filled with muddy grounds and overflowed onto the counter. I helped him mop it up. He apologized like he was apologizing for the whole month. I told him it's coffee, not a war crime. He laughed, and then he didn't. And then he said, I don't know how to do this. I said, me neither. He tried to pull me into their grief orbit more than once. He forwarded me a link to a grief support group. He suggested family sessions, which made my chest heat up because the idea of sitting in a circle with her daughter and talking about how I should feel makes me want to run into traffic. Mom offered to find me a therapist for my own stuff, the low siren, the years of pretending not to hear words I heard, but I wasn't ready. We did agree I'd see the school counselor, which is basically a lady who nods and keeps tissues handy. She told me grief is complicated. I wanted to ask if there's a version called relief and what she does with that one. I didn't. I nodded and took a tissue I didn't need. School got strange too. News moves stupidly fast in a town where everyone's parents know each other from the PDA or soccer lines. People asked if I was okay and touched my arm like I was made of glass. Her daughter had people around her like a security detail. Once we passed each other in the hall, and every part of my body tensed because I half expected her to swing. She didn't. She looked through me. That hurt in a different way. Hate at least feels like a connection. Indifference is a vacuum. She finally spoke to me a week and a half later. I was at my locker. She walked up with that dead-eyed calm. That means someone has decided something. You don't get to come back, she said, quiet. You don't get to walk into our house when you feel like it and walk out when you don't. You don't get to be a tourist and call it family. It's not my house, I said. That's most of the problem. It could have been, she said, but you never wanted us. You wanted her. She meant my mom, and she said her like it tasted bad. I do want her, I said, because that part's not up for debate. And she's not a threat to you. She never was. She laughed. She's the reason my mom is dead. She meant it. She believes it. Grief invented cause and effect, where there isn't any because humans need villains. I felt something hot crawl up my spine. Don't, I said. Don't say that. Make me, she said. What are you going to do? Go cry to daddy about your tone. I shut my locker and stepped back because I could picture this going exactly how she wanted. Me popping off, her throwing the first punch, me either not swinging back and looking weak or swinging back and being the monster. I said, I'm not playing this game, and left. She yelled something behind me about how I was a coward. Maybe I was finally learning the difference between being right and being smart. At night, I'd lie in bed and replay everything like a tape I'm sick of but can't eject. I'd replay each time she said the line about my mom dropping dead, and then I'd hear myself at the sink that morning after she died, thinking stupid thoughts like, is it a sin if I'm relieved? People say don't speak ill of the dead, like death magically erases the part where they were mean. I'm not cheering at a grave. I'm also not going to stand there and write a poem about a woman who spent years trying to hurt the person who raised me. I can hold two things in my head at once. She's gone, and that's sad for the people who loved her, and I don't miss her. Those two can exist side by side without exploding. Some nights I'd flip and think about the littles. They didn't choose any of this. Her daughter didn't choose any of this either, if we're doing a fairness audit. She woke up one day and her mom was gone. If she said horrible things to me, it came from a whole grief carved in her. Doesn't make it less horrible. Makes it traceable. I want to say I have endless patience for that hole. I don't. I have some. I hold it like you hold a pan out of the oven with a towel. Carefully, with a plan, knowing you can't hold it for long. Dad's text shifted again. He asked if I wanted to come by for the little's bedtime. They need a routine, he wrote. I said yes because that's one thing I can do that doesn't feel like a performance. I read Goodnight Moon 1,000 times when they were smaller. They still like it. Maybe because the page where the mouse moves never gets old. I showed up at 7:15. The house smelled like chicken nuggets. The TV murmured. The little one, the youngest, launched herself at me and then immediately demanded I watch her do a somersault off the couch, which is not a thing a couch is for. But I spotted her like a gym coach, and she giggled like she just discovered gravity. The older little asked if I could draw a dinosaur. My dinosaurs look like lumpy dogs, but he clapped like I'd painted the Sistine Chapel ceiling with a T-Rex. Kids are a bomb and a bomb at the same time. Dad stood in the doorway watching. He had that watery, grateful look again. He mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. On my way out, he followed me to the porch. She said if you come around when she's here, she's leaving, he said, like he needed to confess it. She says I'm choosing you over her. You aren't, I said. You're choosing the littles. That's what I needed him to hear because it's the rope I keep giving him to hold. I'm not asking you to choose. I'm telling you where I'm safe. He rubbed his face. She says it hurts that I'm chasing you instead of wanting her. He choked on the word wanting. I didn't have a clean answer. I said, I'm not asking you to chase me either. I'm saying I won't be here pretending to feel things I don't. He nodded like he accepted it and then texted me the next morning asking if I'd come for dinner. He's stuck on this loop of trying to fix a painting by adding more paint. The original picture never shows through because the new layers are thick. Every so often I go back to the beginning and ask, did I make it worse? Could I have softened my face? Let him keep his story? Could I have spoken at the funeral and said something vague and kind like, we had our differences, but she loved her kids, and then at least it would have given them something to hold on to besides the shape of my silence? I don't know. There's a version of me that does that, and maybe her daughter doesn't hate me as much. There's also a version of me that steps up there and feels like I just betrayed past me. The kid who heard death wishes and learned to put his hands in his pockets so he wouldn't shake. I owe that kid something too. When I told Mom that part, she said, "You owe him everything." She said it sharp, like it's the one thing she won't let go fuzzy. She knows what it costs to stand up to a family story. She did it when she left Dad. People call her names in their heads for that too. She lives anyway. I learned from that. She doesn't call his wife names. She never did. She called behavior by its name. She said, that is manipulative. She said, that is cruel. She never said, I hope she drops dead. Even when I think she may have wanted a break from the noise, she never turned it into a curse. That matters. Her daughter posted a long thing on Instagram about grief and chosen family, and how blood doesn't mean anything if hearts aren't aligned. People commented hearts and doves, and she was an angel, and you're so strong. I didn't comment. I didn't look at it more than once. We live in the same town, go to the same school, share half of the same people, and I may never be in the same room with her again where it's just the two of us without wanting to throw words at each other like knives. That might be a mercy. I keep thinking about the moment Dad told me to fake it. That's the one that's stuck on repeat. I'm not telling this story to roast him. He was drowning, and he grabbed the thing floating near him that looked like it might keep him above the water. If he could make me look like I was grieving, then the story of his life would make sense again. He married a good woman who loved his son, and his son loved her back. The movie would line up with the trailer he'd been playing for years. My dry face ruined the continuity. He didn't know what to do with that. He said the quiet part out loud. Fake it. People fake a lot at funerals. They fake a lot in families. I decided not to this time, and it lit everything on fire. So I'm here. I go to school, I do homework. I read the littles to sleep when I can. I answer Dad's texts sometimes right away, sometimes hours later. I don't go to the house when she's there because we've both admitted that we don't trust each other and not to finally throw the punch we've been air throwing for 10 years. If you think that cowardice, okay. If you think it's maturity, okay. It's survival. I pick that. Once in a while, at stupid times like brushing my teeth, I think about her, the woman who married my dad, and my brain asks, do you miss anything? Like I want to check one more time. I set the brush down and make myself answer out loud in the mirror so I can't pretend I didn't say it. No, then another part of me whispers, the pancakes were good, and I laugh because that's how dumb and complicated this all is. You can hate a person and like how they used a spatula. You can mean it when you say you don't miss them and still feel a weird gap in a schedule when they're not there to take up space with their rules. If there's a moral here, I don't know it. If you're someone who needs a clean ending, I can't help you. Here's what I've got. I didn't fake it. It made everything louder. It's still loud. Maybe it'll get quiet later. Maybe it won't. Maybe I'll always be the kid who didn't cry at the funeral. Maybe I'll be the guy who makes his own pancakes and doesn't force kids to choose sides. Maybe both. Dad keeps trying. He's doing it softer now because she told him that him chasing me hurts her and he needs the people under his roof to stop breaking. He texts me pictures of the little drawings. He sends me updates like I'm away at camp. We built a blanket fort. We planted tomatoes. He lost his first tooth. I write back. I send pictures of my own life sometimes. Me in the garage with Mom's old bike, learning to fix a chain. A stack of library books. My choir music with notes in the margins. Small things that add up to a person who isn't defined by the worst sentence he overheard. The other day, he asked if I wanted to help go through her stuff. You could take anything you want, he said, hopeful like maybe I'd pick something and that would prove a feeling I don't have. I said, "I'll come help you box things." He said okay and told me what day she wouldn't be home. I was there when he found a shoebox of photos I'd never seen. Some were of me when I was little, ones my mom must have emailed him way back before the war started. One of me on a swing, head thrown back, mouth open, no front teeth, pure stupid joy. He looked at it and started crying. I put my hand on his shoulder and we stayed there like that, sometimes quiet, sometimes not. It felt like a real moment. No one had to fake anything. That's the part I'm holding. Not the funeral, not the fights. A shoebox and a swing and a reminder that not everything that hurts has to be sorted by who's right. I know someone's going to read this and tell me I'm heartless. Someone else will tell me I'm brave. Both are easy words to throw at a stranger with a story. I'm not asking to be forgiven or applauded. I'm writing it because I've been carrying it around and I needed to put it somewhere that isn't my bedroom ceiling at 2 a.m. If you're a kid with a step-parent who said the fucked up quiet part out loud, I see you. You don't have to fake it either. It will cost you something. It already cost you something, if we're being honest. At least you get to keep your face. And if you're a parent reading this, here's the tiny request from the kid version of me. Don't make your children perform your story so you can feel okay. Feel your feelings, yeah? But don't assign roles and then get mad when we don't hit our marks. Sometimes the person who won't play along is the only honest one in the room. Sometimes he's a stubborn 16-year-old who is sick of holding a towel around a hot pan. Sometimes he's the only one keeping anyone from getting burned. I'll see the littles again this week. I'll probably read Goodnight Moon and draw another lumpy dinosaur. I might even stay for dinner if she's not there and if the air feels breathable. I'll text Dad when I get home a picture of the drawing on our fridge. He'll send a heart and ask if I want to come Saturday. I'll check with Mom, check with myself, decide if it's a day I can walk into that house without feeling the old siren start up. If it is, I'll go. If it's not, I won't. That's not punishment. That's maintenance. You want me to say I'm sorry she's gone? I'm sorry for the kids who love her. I'm sorry for my dad who's trying to fit a house around a hole. I'm sorry for the girl who lost her mom and thinks she lost me too, even though she never had me. I'm not sorry for me not crying. That was honest. It's the one thing I promised myself I wouldn't fake. Even if it made the whole room hate me for telling the truth. Even if it keeps doing that for a while. So that's it. That's the story. I didn't cry at my stepmother's funeral. I didn't do a reading. I didn't play the role. I walked out before I swung and made it worse. I went home to my mom because that's where the air doesn't try to climb in my lungs and live there. My dad texts. I text back. The littles ask for dinosaurs. I draw my ugly dogs with spikes and call them T-Rex. We keep going. We don't fix the past. We don't pretend it was different. We just don't lie about it anymore. That's the only rule I'm keeping. That, and don't wish people dead where a kid can hear you. He'll remember, and he'll grow up, and he won't cry when you go. He'll make breakfast instead, because someone has to, and then he'll leave before the fight starts. And maybe that's the best he can do. And maybe that's enough.